Thanks for joining us for another Kickstarter conniption. Today we're looking at a set of 3 games, Cultivate, Zoo Year's Eve, and Bait and Switch from XYZ Game Labs.
And as always, we want to make sure you're aware that our Kickstarter conniption videos are sponsored in part by all of our Kickstarter backers, as well as by the creators of this game. Hey guys, and thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sarah Meadows, and today we're looking at this new Quarks Season 1 series of games from XYZ Game Labs. These are all pocket-sized games that will all be featured on their Kickstarter, and it will be $30 for the set.
Now these are obviously prototype copies of the game. The final versions will appear in game trays, plastic containers. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the first game.
To set up Cultivate, deal 3 plant cards to each player and then place out 3 for the market, along with the trinkets.
Give each player 2 garden plots. They choose 1 for end-game scoring. Players plant 1 card in their garden to start, and then you're ready to begin.
Each turn, players get 2 actions of their choice, which includes drafting a card from the market to their hand, buying a trinket, or planting in their garden.
When planting, cards must be overlapped or tucked under plants with the goal of matching the 4 types of growing conditions in connected sets. Gravel creates boundaries, so players must try to create dirt portions of their plant cards to connect sets. If you cover any portion of the plant, it is worth 0. Cards are worth 1, 2, or 3 points based on the number of traits.
Trinkets may be purchased by discarding 3 points worth of plants. Spouts let you plant an extra card. Gnomes allow you to move a plant, and spiders will eat all of the bugs on a plant. Any visible bugs on plants at the end of the game are worth 1 negative point.
Once the market is empty, the game is over, and players tally their scores, and the player with the most points wins.
Next up is Zoo Year's Eve. Everyone at the table will be trying to get all of their animals snuck into the New Year's Eve party at the zoo.
To set up the game, deal the number of cards for your player count, and then you're ready to begin.
On their turn, players will play a card face down in front of them and tell everyone which animal is going to the party.
Certain animals are allowed to go into the party, like penguins, giraffes, and monkeys, as long as they're in pairs.
Now, if you get caught laying a card that you didn't actually lay, then you have to take that card back up your hand. You don't have to tell everybody what it is, but you do have to draw a penalty card for doing so.
Now, if they try to catch your bluff and they're wrong, and you flip it over and prove that you were telling the truth, then the opponent is going to have to draw a card and add it to their hand.
Now, there's also lions and snakes in the deck, and those cards you can play to stop a player from taking their turn.
No one wants to be the elephant in the room, so elephants must sneak their way into the party every time. Play continues around the table with players playing a card each round, and the first player to successfully get all of their animals into the party wins.
And last but not least is Bait and Switch, which is a 3 to 9 player social deduction game where players are trying to gain the loot from their heists.
The game is split into 2 rounds, and during the first portion of the game, 2 ringleaders will be selected who will craft a story about their heist. Players will look at the 3 roles needed for the job and will negotiate amongst themselves who may or may not be on their team.
The player cards have 2 choices on them, so players will need to figure out which team to join based on the table talk, their player card, and the points already awarded in the game.
After everyone decides which team they'll be on, cards are revealed and possible loot points are available. Extra points are up for grabs if teams have the needed roles for the job.
The next phase of the round is the loot needs to be divided up. If you happen to complete your heist, it is possible for both ringleaders to end up on the same team and one team not even completing a heist. So if your team happens to complete a heist, it's 3 points. And then if you have a ringleader, it's 1 point for every ringleader. If you match the roles, that's another point. So there's lots of different points available, but then you must vote on if you want to split the loot as a friend or if you want to take it all for yourself as a foe.
Right, and so then you face the typical prisoner's dilemma where everyone on the team will then vote, and if everyone agrees to share it, everybody gets the full amount of points. However, if somebody decides to take it for themselves, then if it's just one person, they get away with it. If the others decide to share, they would keep it, or if there are two that try to steal it, then, or numerous people that try to steal it, then the one person who decided to share ends up actually walking away with the loot. You then proceed to the next round of the game, and you play until, what are the final conditions?
So each time that you successfully gain loot from the heist, there are the 4 different types of the heist tokens, and you need to gain one of each of those. Once that is triggered, you'll count up who has the most points. And
However,
it's the most points without going over 35 because you are criminals. And so if you go over 35, the police have caught your scent and are trying to catch you. So you have to have the most, but under 35.
right, because it is possible to win multiple rounds, but not get the loot you need, and so you've got to be,
Yep.
gotta be
So
tricky
that
on what you walk away
last
with.
round, if you happen to gain the 4, you have the opportunity to gain an extra 5 bonus points or a -5 to not possibly put you over.
Right, they've got all the mechanics in there to make it work, which is really solid. So if these look like games that you'd be interested in, you can check them out on their Kickstarter campaign right now. As we mentioned, we're looking at prototype components, but you will be able to get these games individually or collectively on their campaign. So if it looks like something that you would be interested in checking out, go do that now. And then as always, thanks so much for hanging out with us here at Tantrum House, and we'll see you guys in the next one. 3 games, there's so many!